Yo, yo, yo. Hello, and welcome along to today's podcast. This is episode 3. I'm hoping that all of our volumes are good and that everything's working as we would expect. I've had a very busy day, so I'm a little bit trying to remember exactly all the different things that I have to do for this. So do bear with me if I make any little mistakes. Now, first bit of housekeeping. Well, actually, no, before housekeeping. Hi, Steve.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening.
Good.
My friend Rory's had a very, very stressful day, so let's go easy on him.
Thank you very much. Yo, JG in the chat. Sup, dudes? Somebody spoke to us. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Oh, hang on. Look, I'm getting feedback on...
a few more there.
Yours is fine. Viper. Yo, hello, Viper. Hello, Simon. That all looks good. So, apparently mine's fine. How's your mic?
I'm hoping mine's fine.
So, hi Jack. So, last time you were a little bit quieter, so I'm hoping
that is correct.
That I've got the volumes right. It's third time's a charm, right? This is the third episode, and we're going to get it right eventually. So, anyway,
I'm sure
right.
it'll be good.
The other bit of housekeeping that was something that I literally only remembered 2 minutes ago before we started. Hey, Josh, was that. The QR code just up here doesn't work, and I meant to swap it out for
Rory.
this episode. I messed up there, so this is important. You can't sign up to our mailing list by going and scanning that QR code. What you need to do is look in the description. There is the link to the mailing list, and there's also a link to the Kickstarter page, which is much more important at the moment anyway. So that is something I did just want to super quickly talk about, was our Kickstarter pre-campaign. I will do a quick bit of button pressing. There we go. Now this is our pre-campaign page. At the moment we have 42 followers. That is wonderful. That's great. We love all of those. We really want more. So this is why I just ask, if you're watching this and you want to support what we're doing, if you want to do me and Steve a real solid, head over to this page and click that notify me on launch button. You can find out some more information about the game there. This page will be being updated with new stuff and more things as we go. And it will also start revealing things about the rewards that are coming, some of which are really, really very cool. So, let me find my button to bring me back. There we go. So, you can just see just behind me here, we've got our little 3D printed ragdolls. Stuff like that. And cool other little bits and pieces that we'll be talking about and adding as rewards.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Rory.
Thank you.
I'd also like to point out that the page that you're seeing there has been nicely updated by Rory and Jacky from Gentleland.
That's a good lead in, actually.
Who actually is our guest tonight.
Ooh.
Yes, Jacky Martin from Gentleland, the founder of Gentleland. And she's been working with us since November last year.
Yep.
In preparation for our pre-starter campaign and our main Kickstarter campaign. So she will be coming on shortly.
Yes, so in 15 minutes or so, we'll invite Jacky to come on and talk to us about her journey in game development and founding Gentleland. as well as kind of why marketing is so important and that sort of thing. So it's going to be really interesting. Some very, very valuable insights. I can pretty much guarantee that.
Yes.
There was another thing as well that I really wanted to mention. It escapes me now. One thing that I thought I would do that would be quite fun. I've closed my folder. There it is. I've got it back again. I wanted to talk about a couple of the little videos that we've been putting out. So I'm going to start off though with I'm going to roll the trailer.
Yeah.
For the game, because I'm still really pleased with this trailer, and I want it to have more love. So let's start with this one.
I mean, this actually has an awful lot of very good feedback. Just not the numbers you was hoping for.
No, exactly. Sorry, I was just trying to adjust my volumes there. But yeah, it's one of them. I think there was so much sort of poured into the building because everything is hand animated. And this entire scene built specifically for this, using obviously there's a bunch of photo assets that I've utilised, that I've customised in some way or another. And I mean, it's one of those as well where there were so many more things I wanted to do, but I had to draw a line. Like there was just so many different bits and pieces. I like that screen. There's Bluey.
Looking like he needs a paint job.
So that's going to be something that's quite interesting. Is inside the game there'll be the kind of the lore behind and the story behind him and how he came to be, and that's going to be all kind of discoverable through the main levels, like not the game itself, but the kind of areas that you walk around. And if you've seen any of the devlogs, you'll kind of get what I mean there. So that's another thing that I was going to just talk about. So I'm just going to share this video quickly. I need to stop that music because I don't think we can have Breaking Benjamin playing. So this is just a quick speed run of me building the first challenge room inside of the engine, and I like going back and sort of watching these kinds of things. I think this is a lot of fun. It's quite cool how you kind of see it all come together and all the different bits and pieces. And these are kind of what we're covering in the devlogs as we go. With each little bit of progress, we come in and share a little bit about this, and then I create these little mini videos that go alongside the devlogs and whatnot. So there's kind of lots of fun stuff like that. So this one I thought was quite interesting, but yeah, it gets a little bit technical there. So I did a fun one for today. So this is going to be my last little video clip I'm going to talk about. This was the one I put out today, and I'm just going to pause a sec because this one we do need sound for because I waffle through this one. So let me start that again. I have done some work, and it is in these two buttons here. Now, can you guess what the first one is? That's right, it's a light switch. Press on this, and it dims it down, so it looks now like a really cool looking cinema. And then what does this button do? Oh, you and what does this button do? Ah ha 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 ha, there we go. So I'll turn that down now. So yeah, this is one of the kind of things that's fun, I think. That's in the museum section of the game. There's this kind of cinema. And what you'll be able to do is select any of the Ragdoll Physics Experiments videos from the Rate My Funeral channel and play them on the big screen. And it uses this Megalights feature, which is where you can assign the video. You can actually assign that to the light. So just in front of this screen, there is literally a light the same size as the screen, and that is what is emitting the light. Hang on, we've changed to the other video. So this is, on a technical level, the fact that this works is it's actually quite performance good. I mean, this is literally the first one. So like the lumen settings there are a little bit flaky. That's why it looks a bit patchy, because I haven't touched it. Just that's out of the box. And then, like I said, I actually spotted as well after I made this video that I had the rec light facing. I had it the wrong way around, so it was actually facing the screen, and that's why you can see there's like a little bit of ghosting there. So now that I've turned it around, it actually looks a lot better than this, and it kind of lights the room up, much more accurately based on what's on the video. So it's not as simple as just sort of sampling a general color off that screen. It's actually using the video to light the room, and it's a feature in 5.5 of Unreal that I just really wanted to play with it, so that's why I had to implement something in the game that used it, and I thought that would be a quite fun way to do it. So there'll be all of these different the videos from the RMF, but there'll also be some other ones that will be hidden around the, let me find my button, I can't find my cursor, there it is. They'll be hidden around the level, so you might be able to find some special secret videos that'll be basically Easter eggs, and there'll be lots of callbacks. Like so there's a callback to Who Is Abby in there, which is my previous game. But there's also a callback to Stocks in House, which is the previous game before that as well. So it's they don't really share the same universe. I can't really say that. I'm not like Marvel.
You can't leave them out, can you?
But I just like the idea that they're somemew linked in some way or another. But so that's.
I have to say as well that the rooms look absolutely gorgeous, and the detail, having seen all of the devlogs and where it's come from to where we are now, it is progressing.
It really
beautifully.
It really is
Beautifully.
I would absolutely recommend if anybody watching this hasn't seen any of the devlogs yet, head over into the playlists and watch from the start. And the latest one, devlog 9. It goes out officially. It goes out on Tuesday.
Is it Tuesday?
Officially, it's on Tuesday, but I think we've submitted it to a few places, so we've actually been getting views on it already, even though it's currently set to unlisted. If you ask us in the comments, if you chuck a comment in and ask us for a link, we'll give you a link and you can come and watch it. And Jacky, I think, will be pleased with that, because that's, I think, what you call a hand raiser.
That's very true.
So, chuck us a comment and link if you want to see devlog 9 early, and that's absolutely fine. I'll send you a link to it, and go onto the Facebook, chuck us a message, go onto the YouTube, message this one, whatever, don't care. Interact with us. The devlogs are coming along really nicely. I'm just trying to think, some of the things that we've mentioned, obviously we've got the Joker-matic. I think we talked about that in the last one there, didn't we? I can't remember.
We've spoken about the Joker-matic 400. Which you can add your own jokes to that, which is going to be one of the rewards on the Kickstarter.
Kickstarter reward, yes. And the way I've said is that it can either be that you just submit a joke and I'll do it in my "why do I talk like this" voice, or you can actually just record it yourself and send it to me, and I'll use that, as long as it's half decent audio quality, and then that'll be in there. You could have your joke immortalised inside this game. How cool would that be?
That'd be pretty awesome, right? That'd be pretty awesome.
There's also I've made textures for the ragdolls so that they can show more damage. So as a ragdoll gets more and more damaged, there's
you built a rather nice cannon.
I have been working on the cannon. That's a quite a fun one. So there's a full tutorial of that on the Rate My Funeral. I say tutorial. It's not really
Cinema,
just a guide. Go on.
4D.
Cinema 4D. That's right. So the cannon, again, that's going to be quite a simple prop, but literally you'll just be able to spawn a cannon, and then when you go into physics mode, when you press the go button, it will just launch a cannonball. So if you have a ragdoll standing in front of it, it will get smacked by the cannonball. So that means that there's some fun to be had there. Whether I'll make it so that the cannon is manipulatable, unsure at this time. I might just have it so you just point it in a direction, but I'm thinking because of... there's a special term that I can't think what it's called now. It's not that special, but it's a term where something falls over time. What's the word I'm looking for, Steve?
Trajectory.
No.
That was a good word, though.
That is a good word. Stick it in the comments.
Falls over time. Yes.
Because how when you fire an arrow in archery, obviously it's when you fire a gun.
It's
Eventually and I know it.
It's there.
It's gone. So anyway, because to counter for that, I might make it so that you can aim up and down. You see, because you might need to aim
that'd
up
be a good
so
shout.
that it can get a bit further. So that was what I was getting at there.
Perhaps you could have a field of cannons.
Technically, you could. You could just keep spawning them. Quick question on the chat. Theraputty Dave. Sorry, my text is small. It's hard to read. When is the Kickstarter going up? Now, that's a really good question. When it's ready is the genuine answer to that.
There you go. That sorts that one out.
We don't have a date right now for when the Kickstarter will go live. We will keep updating that page, so that's why I say make sure you do the notify on that page, and obviously through the devlogs and through these podcasts we will announce it officially, but not yet. He said gravity. Yeah, gravity is the thing that pulls it down for sure, but no, it's going to bug me.
Oh yes, gravity.
There's a term and I just can't think of it. It's really frustrating. Very annoying.
It's all gravy.
Gravy. Anyway, so so there's been lots of developments inside the devlogs, and you know, I really enjoy doing them. I think they're a lot of fun. But as I say, you can, if you start at number 1 and work through to what will be number 9 come Tuesday. You'll see there's a real amount of progress. It's crazy how quickly it's all coming together. When I think to myself, you know, in a couple of months' time, when I look at these again, it's going to look like a different game.
It's going to
be amazing. So
it's going to be so impressive.
And to be fair, we'll very likely in a couple of months' time we'll very likely have a demo available, which means that it will be possible to actually probably play it. So that's very exciting, obviously. Right, so that's all of that shenanigans.
Yep.
You wanted to talk about grants.
Well, yes, I've been very busy. Not on things nearly as exciting as Rory's been doing. But yeah, I've been busy applying for grant funding, which is possibly the most laborious process ever invented to man. But we're now pretty much 70% away through a number of grants. I just want to do a shout out for Alex Jones at Silver Script Games, who I met at the Guildford Games Festival, and she kindly emailed me a lot of really good information on applying for grants and the different grants that are available for indie game developers to apply for. You know, and this is really helpful when it comes to funding a project, because, you know, we can raise money over a period of time to be able to fund the project to the level that we want to, which is super important when we are subcontracting out to a game developer, and we've got all these, you know, business costs, and you know, and we need to be able to fund and pay for that. So that's what I've been doing. It's not been very exciting, to say the least, but it may hopefully give us more available capital to be able to put into the game. You know, so then when we come to release, we've got the best polished version we could possibly hope for.
Well, what? Oh, sorry, I'm going to keep hitting my mic. Obviously, if we are successful with one of those, we can then cover the, you know, what did we learn about it from the start?
Exactly.
Obviously, we're still in this really early part of the journey, right?
Exactly.
So, you know, one of the things, like, what are you finding so far, just even at this early stage, what are you finding so far are the key, most important elements for it?
I think it depends on the type of grant in terms of who you're applying it through. I'm currently doing one through the EU, and as you can imagine, that's a hugely bureaucratic process with very complicated questions that you have to really research to try and formulate your response correctly. So you've got to be able to cover all the areas they're asking, but also you've got to get the right technical details in there. Other grants are very much relying on a really good pitch deck, which we are currently working on.
Oh yes, so we're working on.
So
yes.
I think 3 of the grants I've done everything else. We're just waiting for the pitch deck now, which both me and Rory have got to do some work on. And that makes it easier because, we can, Rory can produce some great visuals, as you know. And so the pitch deck will look absolutely top drawer.
Yeah, it'll look good once it's done. At the moment, it's just blocked out, so it's just basically pages of text. But
I know you're busy.
That's coming. But a pitch deck is insanely important, isn't it? It's like putting that together just so that you've got it for hand, or to hand, sorry. And that's another thing that I think is quite interesting. We actually spent a few hours on one of our sessions, didn't we? We went through and we wrote down. We actually wrote down things like our company mission statement, our core values, all of these kinds of things that relate to best practice in business and so on.
It relates to Giraffe Edge Studios, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we're all about.
But like I say, it's really easy to just go, what's the point? You don't actually need it. We know it. We don't need it, right? But I don't know. I feel like it's really important to actually write them down, store them in a document, and then every now and then go back and just remind yourself of it. Have a look. And it comes in especially handy if you're filling in a grant application, right? Because when they say something like, "Can you describe what you do in this kind of circumstance?" Copy and paste,
I've been able to go back into those documents and take sections from them, rework them slightly to be able to suit the question that I'm perhaps answering. But anybody that's done these applications will know what I'm talking about. And if you're going to get some funding, you've got to deliver a good application with a good pitch deck, and then hopefully we receive a little bit of extra, either euros or pound sterling.
Which, like you say, it's super important. Again, it's another thing is unintentional scope creep and escalation of costs. Like are two things that you don't necessarily think about up front, but as you go, you discover. And this falls into the known unknowns and unknown unknowns and all of that kind of jazz. And
all of that, yes.
And as you go, you will always everything always expands slightly more. So therefore, no matter how much you try and budget it, and you'll always end up just outside of that because it's very difficult to say no to things for a start. Like I've just decided I want to put a cinema in the game. Like that wasn't in the original scope.
Well, we've got to kind of manage mission creep, if you like, but also we've got to try and stay within budget.
Yeah.
So we've got to try and get the best possible game within our budget. Yeah. And if we're going to go over that, then we have to figure out where we're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
So it's as simple as that. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. Like I say, not the most exciting experience in the world, but certainly a very good learning experience.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
Having done various kind of tenders and things like that in my current role as director of care for Your Life Care Solutions. Quick plug.
Nice plug there. Target audience, I'd say.
Yeah, not really, no. No. But I'm used to working with local authorities, local government. So you do have to kind of word these things rather carefully and put quite a lot of effort into them. So yeah, that's
good.
That's nice. What I've been up to.
So obviously, if you stay on our journey and follow us along, we will be able to give you a bit of an update on how Steve gets on with that. And obviously, if you start seeing around the edge of the podcast window here, if you start seeing bits of gold. And that sort of thing, then you know we've been successful, right?
Yeah. If you see Steve smoking a big fat cigar, we don't got the funding through.
So yeah, we'll see. So we're going to talk to Jacky in 2 seconds. So I've just noticed in the chat a question regarding the Kickstarter from JG123. Is the Kickstarter like a donation thing? So no, but so basically the way the Kickstarter will work is. When we launch, we will show a list of tiers, and basically these are ways that you can support the game and get stuff. So, for example, like one of the lowest tiers will be just getting a key for the game, maybe slightly earlier than everyone else. Then the next reward will maybe also include a printed art book, and then another reward a bit further down will include one of those little physical ragdoll toys or a big one. So there'll be lots of different things like this. There'll be mugs and T-shirts and hoodies and art books, a colouring book. There'll be all sorts of stuff which we will announce over time. So yeah, depending on which tier you choose to back, you'll get stuff.
Good stuff.
Good, of course,
Yeah,
good stuff. Good stuff.
They're good rewards. Very good rewards.
Yeah, you know, it's that kind of thing. So what that does is that really helps us, because it allows us to do exactly what Steve was just highlighting, making sure that you know, we're able to hit the expectations on a financial level, but also gives you an opportunity to get something cool that was there at the beginning. So, you know, there'll be a limited run of certain things that you can get for this, which in the future will make them, you know, quite nice little prized items, I would say. Anyway, so I hope that answers that question. But to be fair, there's somebody about to come on that knows an awful lot more about it than I do. So we're going to introduce
Jacky is the expert on all things Kickstarter.
So please bear with me one moment while I do my switcheroo here and try and invite her in, and hopefully it will all work exactly as I intended. Nope, she's not in the. She's not in there anymore. She was in there.
Jacky, where have you gone?
Yoo-hoo.
You have to pad out a bit.
I'll pad. You pad while I hunt. So,
did you say for me to pad?
Yes.
So Jacky, who is going to be coming on shortly, is a very, very experienced individual in the gaming world.
I've got some details for you here, Steve, that you can...
Yeah.
Oh, hang on.
And she founded Gentleland and has run some very, very successful Kickstarter projects.
Here we go. Admit.
And she's now going to come on and tell us all about it. Good evening, Jacky.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining. We're doing
very well.
Thank you very much. Yes. No. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Steve just gave you a little bit of an introduction there. I don't know if you might want to have a go yourself, just in case you want to put a slightly better twist on it.
I don't know. I can briefly say who I am. Hi, I'm Jacky. I'm founder of Gentleland, and we help game developers bring their awesome ideas to life and help them make money from their games.
See, that was a
lot better than I did.
That was better than yours, Steve.
To be fair.
Oh my God! What did you say?
I had to pad out. I had to pad a bit of time because we couldn't get the link working.
It's all good. No, it's all wonderful.
It was all nice. I said nice things.
You did. So again, thank you very much for joining us. So special guest in the podcast, and you know, we've got a couple of links here. One is obviously the fact that, you know, we're working with you ourselves, which is fantastic, because you're helping guide us through areas that, frankly, you know, we wouldn't necessarily know which way we were going anyway. So obviously that's fantastic. But also, we want you to tell us a bit more about your journey in game development, where you kind of started. As well as you know, how you came to found Gentleland and that sort of thing. So, go.
Which of these questions do you want to have answered first?
Let's go. Let's start at the beginning.
Start at the beginning.
Oh, how I made it into game development.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I've been making games, I believe, since I was 11, maybe. I think it's 11. Yeah. So back then I started with the, I believe, RPG Maker 95. It's like a super old RPG Maker engine where you could basically do no-code, low-code games with this nowadays almost known as, I want to say, pixel art, Stardew Valley type of style.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that I was making my first games with that one, like super, super small games. And I mostly was in love with level design at the time. And then I just noticed, oh wow, there are other things that I need to do inside of, the engine if I want to have it more custom. And then I started doing pixel art because I needed more assets. And then it kind of escalated a bit from there.
Okay.
I want to be honest. So it's pretty much a very straightforward journey since I was 11. Then I started studying IT, computer science, to be more specific, and made a degree in a very theoretical field. And from there, then I just continued on that journey. And after I've finished my degree, I then did kind of almost like a switcheroo, I want to say, and started to tackle the field more from the art side of the industry, which is very funny because the main reason for that was that during my time, during my studies, I was also in a student work relation where I did a lot of JavaScript, CSS, and I was really fast on it. I was really good. And because I was so good, they didn't have that much work for me. So what that meant was I coded for 2 hours-ish, and then I was done with a quote-unquote assignment. And they were like, oh yeah, we just, like, you need to wait a moment until we have something new for you to do. And then I basically did 2 hours of work and then 6 hours of Tetris and watching cat videos, which was just so boring. So I basically got bored out of my mind during that time. And then I was just like, okay, I can't do this type of job ever again. This is like so horrible. And funnily enough, nowadays I enjoy coding again. But during that time, I was just so bored that I just couldn't do it. And then I tackled that field from the art side and became an asset creator in 2D, and then did illustration, concept art. And that was really a competitive space. So during that time, I did a lot of things just to basically pay rent. And funnily enough, how I got to create Gentleland actually was, at the time, I was also creating pitch decks for real estate. So I did everything that was visual. In my hometown, I have a few logos here and there on, like restaurants. And like I basically did everything that came my way. I did murals in Berlin, like there are actually 2 wall paintings that I did here in my hometown. And at one point it just clicked in for me, where I understood like, oh, wow, game developers also need pitch decks, and they also need almost like the very same type of style of thing that I'm doing this entire time over here. So why not apply it to gaming? And then I did something even crazier, which was I was basically working 2 or 3 jobs at the same time. One, I was an art lead for a medium-sized, like 40-plus-ish German government-funded project, which was a gaming project where we where it had like a very specific angle of working together with children and so on. And there was art lead in there, which was a lot of work. And then at the same time, I took on more and more illustration work at the same time. So I then had to expand and get my first employees because it was just like absolutely crazy at the time. And from there on out, I met some really amazing people, which then helped me develop this idea even further, where they, like had this very specific and unique sales angle that I want to say that I didn't have at the time, You already got to know Sam, who is basically my business partner, who has really taught me a lot about sales, who has taught me a lot about sales strategy. And from there on out, it just like slowly molded into this, I want to say, almost safe space for creators where they can really openly talk about, okay, how do I get my game actually funded? How do I get a grant? How do I make this all work? Because it's not easy. As you just said a moment ago, wow, there are so many layers upon layers upon layers. It's like an onion, and you're trying to peel all of them back until you arrive at that vision, like this very core. And once you have your values straight, they can function like as such a nice guide, as such a nice North Star, so that you achieve your goals a lot faster.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I think you highlighted a couple of really key and interesting points to me as well, and I always love this. It's this let's call it cross-pollination of cross-functional roles between industries, right? So this is obviously where Steve and I are in this, in the fact that obviously, this is now technically my third game. Steve is brand new into the indie game industry, game development, gaming in general, but he's bringing the aspects from what he's done with the care businesses. So there's certain things there to do with psychology and to do with business and all of that kind of jazz that I don't really get that he does. So he brings that in. So I really like this, and especially when you say about bringing something from where you were doing the real estate stuff, and then you notice the market. There's a need for this, that I can bring this set of skills over. I think that's something
transferable skills. Isn't it?
That's it, exactly. Yeah, and I think this is it's so fascinating. I've done it the other way around as well in my other life. I work in the security industry, and I brought VR into that by creating VR experiences that allowed the customers of the security equipment to see what they were like in virtual reality first. And that was like a really cool way of bringing the gaming stuff into my kind of day job. So I'm a real sort of I'm really pro on this idea of taking skills from other areas and bringing them in. So
yeah, that's a really cool idea. I know that, for example, for VR. No, you just remind me of something, because for VR, some theme parks are actually, prototyped that way, where they first make almost like a game where you walk through the theme park as if with VR glasses on, and just got reminded of that one.
That's yes. I mean, there was you were making me think you were going down the route of there's rides where you wear the VR and it changes where you're going, but you're talking more about the actual. Like the testing
pre-experience,
the testing of the layout, and there's so many things for that. There was I was looking at a similar thing quite a while back that was a VR car customizer, so that when you're looking to purchase a car, you actually stick your headset on and you see the options that you choose appearing in real time, so you can see it in full size and so on. And again, these are really interesting applications. But I think we've got off on a bit of a tangent there, but it's I do like that sort of thing. So
slightly off track,
only a little bit. So that's all how you've got to where you are. So. Talk to us a bit about the importance of marketing when it comes to game, because I think this is something that I feel it kind of almost falls under that similar banner that I was talking about earlier, where a lot of people think, that bit's not important so much, or something that I saw actually recently was, right, I've made my game, how do I now market it? I think this is something that I think many like solo devs fall into, right, as a bit of a trap. Would I be correct in saying that, do you think?
Well, I can certainly not speak for everyone, but I feel like it starts already at misunderstanding marketing and promotion. Like thinking, wow, marketing is the same as promotion. And then in reality, some people actually mean promotion, where they say, oh, wow, how do I promote my game, right? Because marketing are all of these activities, I want to say, combined, where you, like some people would even say, talking about your vision and understanding your vision is part of marketing already. And that is more of a holistic view, of which I'm very much a fan of, where I say like, oh, wow, you can already design your game with that very specific marketing angle in there, where you would say in modern marketing is a lot of understanding people's needs and frustrations. So you can already integrate all of that into your game design. So while designing your game, you're technically already doing marketing, of which I'm very much a fan of that view. And then on the other side, promotion is, of course, like you can, of course, go very deep in that topic of, okay, at what place, where do I scream the loudest and the best about my game, and where do I get the most reach and the most eyes? And that can be very different for every game, right? So that really depends on what your strategy there is.
So is it sort of fair to say that a lot of the kind of key important elements when you're thinking about, especially marketing versus just promotion. A lot of the marketing elements can be obviously quite tedious, right? It's a lot of it can be quite grindy, making sure. Just as an example to try and explain where I'm going. So, for example, getting a good streamer or multiple streamers on board. Again, the default kind of expectation is go out, find as many email addresses of streamers as you can, send them a link to your game and say, can you please play my game? And that's kind of the easy route, right? But the more successful, that is considerably more tedious, is you find, say, 5 and you befriend them. You go on there early and you start commenting on their videos, you learn a bit about them, and then once you've kind of already got a bit of a relationship, you then say, oh, by the way, I'm making this game. This is an approach, right? And this is kind of, like I say, is that the sort of thing that is sort of typically avoided just because it's too much hard work, or is there kind of some way around that? What's your kind of thinking behind that sort of approach?
Yeah, so I think there are many ways on how you can play that game, right? So you can market your game, which is a product, right? You can market your product in many different ways, and the number one thing to understand is, who's my target audience? It always comes back to that. Who are they? Where are they? Where do they learn new things? And if your entire audience is following that specific streamer that you were saying, everyone is lurking in that chat, then yeah, you would try to get that specific influencer, that specific streamer on board. And in an ideal world, that specific streamer would already be naturally gravitating towards you when they think, wow, this game is made for me. And this is where I believe marketing is at its best, when people feel as if it was their idea that they onboarded to your world, where they say like, oh, wow, this looks so great. This looks so like made for me. Please let me promote this, and then you're in a much better space, because then you don't need to beg for help. But there are different layers to this. So let's say you are a really big company, I like to make this analogy quite often, where you have almost like different tiers. If you think about games like League of Legends or StarCraft 2, they all have like these ranked ladders where they have a ranking system, right? So when you're playing competitive, you have bronze, you have silver league, you have gold, and up to diamond. And the same kind of happens with promotion. You cannot promote if you're like a diamond guy when you're still stuck somewhere in bronze, when you have like a following of 10 people and you're trying to make the same post as someone who is running the strategy at a diamond level. It just doesn't work that well, because you still need to play a different meta game. You need to play a different strategy. And at the beginning, you usually play it like a very different angle than if you were to do in diamond. But sometimes if you're on diamond and playing a bronze strategy, it works, because then it's like suddenly cheesing, and then it's somehow you got an edge, and then like a bronze dude wins against the diamond guy. But usually if you look at it over the span of some time, then the diamond person would always win. So the same kind of happens in social media, where you run these different strategies. And in the beginning, one strategy could be, okay, I befriend a few people and then they share my game. I don't always like that, because it puts on a friendship this very transactional angle. And sometimes it's okay, because then you say like, oh, hey, we cross promote. I like your game, you like my game, or whatever I'm making. And then we are like somewhat equal follower count, and then we just help each other gain more reach. And that's actually quite common in the games industry too, especially in indies, where they cross promote each other, give each other shout outs, especially around Kickstarter, plugging each other in these like Kickstarter updates. That happens quite often, especially if the games are very similar in feel to each other. For example, if you have like a very wholesome game over here and a not so wholesome game over there, and then that works. But overall, to reach follower count is usually then, like a whole different topic of, okay, I want to have followers, or do I want to make sales? And of course, we want both numbers to go up, but that doesn't always require the same strategy, right?
So
Sounds
so what are the
similar.
keys to building
Yeah.
hype? You know, what's the key things you need to do to build some hype in your game?
The key, yeah. So that I feel really depends on your individual project, honestly. I find it very interesting because you're the first person who has ever asked me this, what's the key to building hype? And I feel if people had it figured out always, then everyone would be doing it. But I think here are
That's
a
true.
few of my, like ideas of how you get a lot of people excited about what you do, and that is creating shareable content, right? So content where you go outside of the platform where you saw it on, and then share it outside with someone in your, like DMs, where you say like, oh wow, have you looked at this? Look at this. I think this could be for you, right? I think that plays a huge role in how you can get hype. The moment someone finds you on the internet and thinks, wow, I need to share this with my closest friend offline.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have that quite often, but we do it very subconsciously. And shareability is something that you can create for your post, for your content. And it's like a very specific type of post that you're then doing. It's called more or less top of funnel content. I don't know if you're going too deep in here, but you do have a sales funnel and you have specific types of content that work best at each stage of your funnel. And this content is really just meant to broaden the awareness level of your potential buyers out there, right? Because in the beginning, for most game devs especially, the problem is not that their product or their idea is bad, it's just that no one knows about it, and that you haven't told enough people that you exist, so they just don't know that you exist. So when you're under 1 million in revenue, all you need to do is just tell more people that you're a thing, and that's just the reality, I believe.
Okay, that's interesting then. So, if just thinking about your knowledge and the things that you've experienced, what would you say is kind of typically the most common mistake that you see people make?
Oh, there are so many. I think
three?
the most common one.
Top three, yeah.
Yeah,
three's fine.
three. It's three. It's
Basically,
just
we've made
three,
all
let
three
me
of them
tell you.
already,
Okay,
so.
number one. Yeah, number one is to think that if you're just making a great product, people will come and buy it. There's so many great products, and that's not holding up. That's something that we know, right? So, not doing marketing altogether is a really big mistake. Doing marketing too late, right? When you're about to hit the launch button, that's also a really big mistake. Sometimes it's best if you already built the hype super, super early with what we are calling super fans. These are the fans that are extremely excited about what you're building from minute one, and who lurk in your community, who basically buy everything that you're showing them and that you're putting in front of them. And some people in the industry say there is no such a thing as a super fan in gaming. I don't think that's true. I do think there are super fans in gaming. I think Blizzard as a company has been carried by a lot of super fans throughout years. I believe that that's still a strong fundamental thing that carries you, especially, for example, through a Kickstarter, because there are usually people who are there who like to be very early into the process, where they feel like they have some influence into how the game is being made, where they feel like, wow, I'm almost like part of the team, or I've given them an idea and now it's in the game type of people. So we would usually say these are innovators or early adopters. That's how we would label them. And it's like a very, very small small amount of people. But if you find these people and if you make these people happy, you will have a much, much easier time hopping over into the mainstream audience.
Crossing the chasm, I think, right? This is no. I
yeah.
think in case anybody wants to find out more about this, I think I'm pretty certain this is the same thing. Simon Sinek does a thing. I think he calls it the law of diffusion, which covers all of the idea behind finding the early adopters and you know, expanding from that point there, more or less what you said. So it's just a really good resource if anyone wants to find out more about that. Check out Simon Sinek's thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I suppose the earlier
specific
we
concept...
engage, the more likely we are to create super fans.
So
yeah, I mean,
go on.
the specific concept is actually called crossing the chasm, and it's from the 1870s or something. So it's quite an old marketing concept.
Ah, okay, nice. Right, okay. Can you were talking about super fans. How would you define a super fan?
I would say a super fan. So this is not probably the definition you'll find in every book. My personal definition, I would say a super fan is a person who's in very early into your development process, and not as a developer, of course, but as a person that maybe found you by chance, maybe found you through a survey you were hosting, maybe found you through posting something in a Discord server or some, you know, YouTube channel like we're here. Maybe you already have like a fan where they're like, oh wow, if Rory makes something and if it's a game, I will 100%, you know, be the first person to join. And it's like these relationships that develop over time, but they usually have some commonalities. And I believe it's that they're excited about what you're creating, that it covers a need or removes the frustration that they have around the specific products, right? So let's say you're creating a physics game. So maybe a specific frustration could be every physics games, I'm not a physics gamer, but has too low frames per second. So maybe your game then excels in this specific area, right? And it's really important that we are looking at the needs of people because that often leads to them feeling like, oh, wow, this is just made for me because they are finally addressing that thing that has been bothering me in all of these other games.
Good.
So, I'll tell you an interesting one thing. If you could go back at any point during your journey through the, you know, getting into game development, going into set up Gentleland, what would you tell your younger self to adjust or do slightly differently?
Oh boy, that's a mean one. So yeah, so I feel like I went in very naive, you know, like very with the assumption of no, together is better, and sometimes together is good, but when you're leading a company, there is a bit of loneliness sometimes involved, especially if you do it alone, and especially if you're doing it from scratch, right? So I bootstrapped everything, and I always had, you know, like the need to build together with other people, and sometimes. Looking back now, I feel it would have been better to sit in that loneliness and be okay with that a bit more, I want to say, with, you know, like understanding that at the top, you know, like the more you exceed at something, the more you grow your skills. Of course, the lonelier it's going to get because not everyone can function on the same level, if that makes sense. So if I were to go back, I would nudge myself to be a bit more careful around who I invite into my world and who I let me join on my journey. And I think that would be it. But overall, I don't regret anything, right? So I would probably do everything the same because I still believe at the end of the day, everything that kind of happens in our lives happens for a reason. And then sometimes we're just not ready yet to, you know, act differently. And if we were, we would have done it.
I think that's really sound advice, actually. That resonates really well. And to be fair, considering that was a tough question that I just threw at you with no practice, that was a very good answer, to be honest.
And I can I can very much relate to that from when started my business back in 2012, and how sort of difficult it was to build and grow, and everything's on you. The vast majority of the time, you know. And you've got to make difficult decisions. all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, exactly. And not everyone can handle responsibility. Not everyone has like the same definitions around what does accountability mean, what does ownership mean, and all of these, like beautiful things. But alignment is just so important, especially when it comes to building a company, because then you're also responsible for all the people that you're bringing on and that you're, their livelihoods, everything around it. So yeah, incredibly important to have someone at your side where you feel like, wow, I can trust this person 100% blindly.
Cool. Okay, so we're almost up on the time, but before we get on to my favourite final question, I thought of an interesting one that I thought might be fun, and
okay.
If you had somebody join Gentleland tomorrow, and it could be any project possible, what kind of project, kind of game would you want it to be?
I can only say yours now.
Yeah. What, a Ragdoll Physics Experiments?
Something to do with ragdolls.
Simulator game.
Like a physics ragdoll game where you're like building stuff.
Perfect answer.
Wow.
End the podcast there.
Let's leave it at that.
That's amazing you came up with that.
No, I just honestly no. You must have like your most favourite sort of thing that would be something. Oh, do you know what? I'd love to work on something like that. You must have something that would be very dear to you.
It's a really good question. I'm not sure if I will have like a very direct answer of, oh yeah, it needs to be this type of game. Because at the core, I'm still a game developer myself, right? So if I really felt, wow, I strongly need to push this type of game into existence, I would just do that. I would not wait for a client to step by and say like, oh, Jacky, look, I'm making exactly the game that you would like to make. I would just do it myself. If that makes sense, right? So I'm very much a doer in that regard. I will probably at one point make my own games again. I have like a few games that I still have, at the back of my mind where I just feel like, oh, this would be so funny to make, for example, a heavy metal musical game. I don't know how that would look like, but I think it would be incredibly funny. So,
I'd love to see that.
You would have just sold 2 copies just then.
Yeah, right. So, like, I have not seen a heavy metal musical game yet. Well, you could say maybe Doom gets there a bit. I don't know, but
when the music kicks in, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but at the end of the day, I think I've now worked on so many games, and each game that I've worked on has a very different and unique angle where you could say like, oh wow, yeah, I really get it. This is such a cool idea. And I don't think I've really worked on a game where I just said like, oh wow, this is really, really bad. I think only on a very select few where I had to say like, this is awkward. This is really awkward. And it's mostly been games where I felt like there was a development crew involved that wasn't quite yet authentic, like where they walked through their trauma yet in a certain amount, so they digested that trauma through their game. And these were mostly the games where I felt like, this is nice, this is weird. Funnily enough, mostly visual novels that do have that angle. So if you were to ask me which games I would not be so keen on taking on anymore, it's probably in that genre.
Sure.
Yeah, but games that do excite me are usually games where I feel the team behind the game is really excited about what they're creating. Not so much the game itself. If the team behind the game really is functioning and feels like, oh wow, they really know what they want, that's what also gets me excited.
Oh, that's good to know. That's good. Okay, great. So the ultimate question, my favorite way to close one of these podcasts is, what is the one piece of advice that you would give to somebody that is just starting out in indie game development?
Apply to Gentleland. Save yourself some pain.
End of podcast, right
totally.
There.
Go to gentleland.gg. We are reworking our website. We are actually making an app right now to help game developers move even faster. We also apply to some grants to do that. So Fingers crossed that these are working out. Yeah, so if I were to give another advice, it would probably be to be very mindful of who you interact with in the industry. There are a lot of people who, like are nice. There are a lot of people who are really good. And, like as every time in life, there are also bad apples. So just be very careful who you're engaging. Also, when it comes to publishing, read like the contracts very carefully. Have an game industry lawyer, not an entertainment lawyer. There are so many pitfalls, and I think what really the number one advice I think I would give is find the right people where you feel that they have your best interest in mind and that actually support you.
I think that's
great answer, Jacky.
Another great answer. So brilliant way to end it. Thank you very, very much. So
yeah.
Again, thank you so much for joining us. We really hope that you can come back again.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, no problem at all. I think there's so much that we could ask you. I think there's a wealth of knowledge there that I think would be great to sort of share out. So thank you very much. And you did, to be fair, you did just plug the website, but this is your point where you say, you can contact me follow me on this one. You can get our website here. Go.
Yeah. Please feel free to follow me on LinkedIn. I'm Jacqueline Martin there. On X, I'm Jacky Martin. You can find Gentleland, my company, almost everywhere at either the Gentleland or Gentleland. I'm currently most active if you catch me via email. So you can also write me an email at jacky@gentleland.net. And we are reworking our website to gentleland.gg, and that's also where our app will be living in the next few months, hopefully. So do check that one out.
Exciting news.
Good
Exciting
game. I like it. Brilliant. Okay, thank you very much. I'll stick some links in the description as well, so people can just go down there and click that. But yeah, so there we go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jacky.
And we'll let you go now.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, no problem. We'll let you go and have the rest of your evening and speak to you again soon.
Thank you, Jacky.
Okay, then.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
See you. Bye.
Bye. Okay, we've left the meeting. We'll leave that one up there for now. So there we go. That was some clever stuff.
That was a very interesting conversation there with Jacky.
That was great.
And she's got a wealth of knowledge there. I think that we've been tapping into, haven't we, since we started working with her.
That's why I was excited to get her on here. Because I knew, because I know things, I can't articulate them.
No.
Whereas she articulated stuff really well.
Yes, very well.
That was brilliant.
Yes, very well. But I think a lot of what she was saying we can relate to with what we've been doing as well.
100%.
In terms of trying to get to this position where we're building an interest in what we're doing, and we're trying to build a community.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get our name out there.
Yeah.
Amongst all the other kind of games that are out there, and really get some interest going.
Yeah.
You know, we're kind of quite at the start of that journey, really, aren't we?
Very much so. Very much.
And it's a bit of a grind, is what Jacky often will say, and we are grinding. we're grinding our way.
Where's he going with this one?
With the devlogs and social media and advertisements and everything else that we're trying to do to build that community.
Yeah, no, it's a tricky balance as well, because obviously you've got to be a little bit careful with what you're flooding. We legitimately want to tell people what we're doing because of the fact that we believe that they'll enjoy it. So we've got to find that balance. With making sure that what we put out is not too salesy, but interactive, right? And
absolutely, it's got to catch the eye. You've got a very short period of time to try and catch people's eye on social media, 1 to 2 seconds, they reckon. So it's got to be pretty instantaneous for people to go, ooh, maybe I want to have a look at that.
Yes. Well, anyway, we are at the end now of tonight's episode, so we will be back in 2 weeks' time with the next one, with another special guest, which I believe is booked. I can't remember who it is, but I think it's
What is
booked.
the next one? 6th of April, isn't it, the next one?
It's 2 weeks today.
No, 23rd of March.
So, yeah, 23rd of March.
I'm waiting confirmation.
Oh, right.
But it's another developer.
Right,
Who's
okay.
a solo developer.
Ooh.
He's got some interesting games to talk about and games that he's developed and currently on Steam.
Oh, nice.
And the challenges that obviously he's had to go through, like we're going through,
Right. Oh, well,
to try and
I reckon...
try and get games out there. And you know that, having done 2 previous games.
Well, yes, exactly.
2 very
exactly.
good previous games, I'd like to say, Roy.
Oh, thank you.
Do you want to say the names once more?
Well, so the first one was the VR escape room called Stockton House.
Yes, that was very good. Played
Available
that.
on
Very
Steam. And it's a non-horror. That one is a horror game, but it doesn't rely on jump scares. So
No,
it's about the atmosphere. It's about creating
you kind of
creepy
feel it. I was
atmosphere.
like, I was always looking over my shoulder.
But as with everything I do, it's got this kind of dark humour underline. So if you look past the scary front end, you'll find things that are comical. And Stuxins is full. It's absolutely full of that. Then the next one was Who is Abby, which is a first-person walking simulator meets point-and-click adventure. And it's not a horror game. It's a psychological thriller, whether you like it or not.
It's definitely not a horror game.
It's not a horror game.
Although people seem to think it is.
There are some people that do, because it's a game made by an indie studio and it's set at night quite regularly. So
and correct me if I'm wrong,
default, it means horror.
Isn't that currently on sale on Steam as
That
well?
is actually currently on sale
Well
on Steam.
done,
So
yes, yes.
if you are interested in Who is Abby, it might be worth going to have a look at it on Steam at the minute because it is a little bit cheaper than normal. Yeah, that is a good game. And I voiced the main character throughout the entire game. So there is over 3,500 lines of dialogue of me talking in an exceptional American accent that doesn't sound like an English guy trying to do an American accent that's clearly smoked too much throughout his life. It doesn't sound like that in any way at all.
You've been on the Marlboroughs, mate. That's what it was.
Abby. So, go check that out. But no, it was a great fun episode. I really enjoyed talking to Jacky. As we mentioned before, please do jump over onto our Kickstarter page. Press that notify me on launch. I'm not going to refresh it now. I'm going to refresh it when we've finished, and hopefully that's gone up at least one.
One would be good.
So but also like and subscribe to the channel, like this video. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll find out who the next guest is when we announce it. Plus the devlogs. The next devlog comes out on Tuesday, and it is a corker. So make sure you do watch it, or if you want to see it early, just drop us a comment below, and I'll send you a link so you can get to see it early. Right, that is it for tonight. So just want to say thank you to Steve, thank you to Jacky,
Thank you.
and thank you to me.
Thank you to him.
And we'll see you next time.
Next time here, 7:30 p.m.